living next to peaceful people, it's not long before the warlike civilization has assumed or taken over the ones next to it, and it spreads that way as well.
Yeah, I'll say that when I look at the comparative, what little I know self-taught comparative religion, you do not see this sort of aggressive kill the other in the Sumerian gods, nor in the Egyptian gods.
Or in Druidism, or the other peaceful, life-celebrating religions. Getting back to your other question, though, about
Can
morals.
Science bring us morals?
Sam Harris has been doing an awful lot of work on this area lately, as talking about harm and the reduction of harm, and how we can go about studying which venues best address that. And I think, yes, that eventually science will have theories about how we should go about handling certain situations and stuff. But you was talking about what can science offer in that field that religion offers. The thing about it is religion offers everything. I mean,
yes.
It doesn't stop religion. The fact they can't deliver anything, they offer everything that comes to mind.
Yes.
There's no lack of offers.
But, however, science delivers. Science has eradicated smallpox from the face of the earth.
That's right.
Science has driven polio nearly to extinction.
There's an old saying is that God can do a lot of things to you now, but he can't give you smallpox.
That's right. He can't give you smallpox. All right. We touched on some Egyptian myth. We talked about Ma'at, who is the goddess of justice. What's really nice about the goddess of justice is that the way the Egyptians portray her is with this beautiful analogy. Justice is as light as a feather, and so we see the feather in her headdress there. And the feather is used in a ceremony where they weigh the heart of the recently deceased on a scale, and if the heart of the deceased is not weighed down by sin, then the recently deceased goes to the afterlife. I've highlighted a few of the particular sins that the Egyptians were looking for here. Larry, can you help me read a couple of these here?
Sure.
I'll go with the first. I have not committed robbery with violence.
Mm-hmm. Going along with that, it says, I have not stolen.
I have not slain men or women.
Or have stolen grain, again, stealing.
I have not purloined offerings.
Stealing. I have not stolen the property of a god.
I have not uttered lies.
Or carried away food.
I have not uttered curses.
I have not committed adultery.
I have not lain with men.
With man. I have made none to weep.
I have not eaten the heart, meaning I have not grieved needlessly.
I have not attacked any man.
I am not a man of deceit.
I have not stolen cultivated land.
And I have not been an eavesdropper.
Now, one thing you'll notice about these, a lot of these are Ten Commandments.
That's right. That's where I was going with that.
Go ahead, then.
And, in fact, there were 41 of those. That's called the Egyptian spell number 42. Mm-hmm. And number 38 here, I have not stolen the bread of the gods. In other words, I have respected the God. I'll have only one God before me, something like that. And I have not snatched away the bread of children, nor treated with contempt the deity or God of my city.
Right.
So some of those sound familiar. They were written in the Egyptian New Kingdom period, around 1200 to 1700 BC. And if there was a Moses and if there was an Exodus, this was about that time. So this would explain how the Hebrews had gotten this sort of set of morals as a guideline.
And wherever there's a community of men, they've had to come up with laws to live peacefully among each other, among themselves. And don't kill, don't lie, don't steal, are all right up there at the top of the things that would allow you to stay in with the rest of the people there, having certain rules that would further the community.
They make for good social conformity. Mm-hmm. We'd like to encourage people to call in and ask us questions. There's some of the stuff we like to talk about, but you may have some questions we haven't thought of. Well, we've talked a little bit about Sumer and Egypt and a little of their beliefs, but they also have an afterlife. Mm-hmm. Well, for the Sumerians, the afterlife was to live in darkness, eating only mud. Isn't that a great diet? Look at us, Larry. Oh, and you're covered with feathers. Mm-hmm. Imagine Larry and I in the Sumerian afterlife.
That would be one reason that Christianity
might have caught on for that.
Over that.
Well, the Egyptians had a better afterlife. They called heaven the Field of Reeds. The Field of Reeds is where the harvest was always coming in, and it was always a good harvest. Some of the things they harvested was barley, from which they would make beer. And they had emmer wheat, which they would make bread.
So harvesting is the best of times. Like we celebrate Thanksgiving, it would be their best of times.
Well, that's great. In fact, I think if you take this emmer bread and you stretch it out, put some tomato sauce on it, a little cheese, and you bake it, and you have that with beer, it's like a perpetual tailgate party.
Right.
Now, I think the Egyptian afterlife's a pretty good one, and if there was an afterlife that we could have by voting for it, that's the one I'd vote for.
And that's one of the few peoples who had a God you could actually see.
That's right.
The sun in the sky, and he is the source of all life on Earth.
That's great.
Scientifically proven.
Indeed, they say that Egypt is the gift of the Nile and the sun above it.
And talking about afterlives, if you haven't died well in battle, you won't be able to attend the great feast of Ragnarok.
That would be Valhalla. That would
be able to participate in the final Armageddon. Final conflict between good and evil.
I should know about that mythology more than I do. I'm of Norwegian, Scandinavian descent.
We have another caller.
Another caller, great.
Welcome to Freethought Forum.
Yeah, I have a question. Are you guys saying that there is no God?
No, we say we don't believe in a God.
I'd go a little stronger and say that there's no evidence that any gods invented by humans actually exists. I mean, maybe there's something we haven't figured out yet that could justifiably be called that, but certainly no one made the world in 6 days, and there were no talking snakes.
But you are saying that there is something that matters, because if you think about it, there has to be something that's controlling our bodies, not just our brains. There got to be something, some kind of force.
We have chemical processes and electrical processes and things that go on in your body that keep it going, that eventually will stop and we will be dead, and that's it. But there's nothing like a soul. There's nothing like anything that will continue on after we die. There's never been any kind of evidence that there would be any kind of life after death.
And what's more is the world works around us by obvious, when you examine them, simple rules. Energy is always conserved. Mm-hmm. Momentum is always conserved. And it can have fantastic details that can lead to living creatures like us, but that doesn't mean that it was deliberately put in place.
And I agree with you. The universe came from something, just not from one.
Isn't it kind of funny to say, I guess a simple way to put it, it's kind of like you guys are saying a car can drive on its own. I mean, you have your engine, you have all the stuff.
Can a rock roll down a hill by itself?
Well, no, but can a car drive by itself? Doesn't it need a person?
No, what I'm saying is, a rock rolling down a hill is a natural process. We think and we believe that the entire universe is a natural process.
And by natural, we mean that it operates by rules, like I said, conservation of energy, conservation of momentum, that no one has to interfere with. In fact, every miracle in the Christian Bible represents God sort of admitting he made a mistake, that, it wasn't going according to plan, and now I had to intervene. Mm-hmm. The real universe actually hums along without having to change the rules. Mm-hmm. And in fact, you could maybe say, well, the rules of the universe are God, but they're nothing like a Jehovah that is interested in what
a conscious intellect that would be interested in our daily lives.
Yeah. So we just don't buy that. We think that's, that like all of the gods of Sumer and ancient Egypt are wishful thinking on the part of humans. Mm-hmm. All right. Did you have any more questions for us, caller?
Well, I understand what you guys are saying, because, unless there's something definite, it's kind of hard to say, we came from this light force that made everybody perfect. But it's kind of like you guys are. I just don't understand how you could.
Well, okay. What we're doing is giving our voice to our beliefs as much as theists give voice to their beliefs. We are demanding our piece of time on the national stage to be able to tell where we come from. Like, if you watch this channel, you'll see preachers pretty much on every other broadcast, but you'll never see Freethought Forum except for our show in Knoxville. Yeah, we are taking the time to express our opinions here.
And we're a small minority. Depending upon how the question is asked, we're somewhere between 2 to maybe 15% of the population. Mm-hmm. But we have a worldview here that we want to share with others, mm-hmm. and most importantly, we want to tell people that we really don't think you have to believe in a God to be good. And certainly, a point about this program was that there are other religions, and some of them, frankly, they have better gods. And
I said, not as mean.
I spoke earlier about Ma'at. I know of nothing that we can fault Ma'at in terms of her morals. Mm-hmm. She was after justice and preserving order all the time.
Yeah. A caller, don't you think that the other religions of the world are silly and the claims of miracles that they have?
Honestly, I believe the other religions are pretty much like, they're all like pieces of a puzzle, and every one of them has like a truth in it, but then there's propaganda behind it.
No.
So
what about
it ends up being.
What about Christianity?
Christianity, I think there's a part of Christianity that is true. I don't believe you have to be inside of a building to worship God. And
but I'm talking I'm talking about, do you believe that the tree of knowledge was real? Do you believe that you can get knowledge from eating a piece of fruit? Do you believe that there was a talking snake in the Garden of Eden? Do you believe that the world was actually flooded? These are things that people build their beliefs on, and that's what we're questioning.
Yeah, give us your answer, caller.
And I felt the same way, I have to say, because, you're brought up to go to church and this, that, and the other. So I decided to, do it myself and go through all the steps that they said go through. Mm-hmm. And I will say this, and I don't know how many people believe me, and there is a tape out there. One time I did do exactly what the preacher asked, and I went through all of it, and I went through believing as you were asked to do. And one day, while I was praying, some kind of force, and I know it's hard to believe, but some kind of force
I believe
my forehead. And
I just don't believe that you interpreted it correctly. If you go ahead, I'm sure you were trying to make a point.
I would say that I've never prayed, but I can't help but think that what you're really listening to is kind of your own mind, in a way talking back to you.
Your conscience.
Much like we carry on the internal dialogue that is our conscience. Mm-hmm. Well, caller, we have a minute left. We have some closing statements. Let us thank you for calling.
Mm-hmm. We'll be here next week.
And stop by next week and we'll do this some more. Okay.
Thank you.
Sounds good.
Great.
Thank you.
Well, thanks for watching to the end, those of you who made it. And if you'd like to send us some feedback, we have an email address for you. It's freethoughtforum@yahoo.com. If you send us some emails there, we can maybe get ideas for future programs. You can also call the station at 215-8848 and purchase DVDs of this and past programs. This has been Freethought Forum. I'm Faithless Forrest.
And I'm Larry Rhodes.
And we want to thank Jonas and Sam for helping us, and we want to thank all of our callers. It's from you that we get ideas for future programs as well, and we want to wish everyone a happy Tuesday.